Pop quiz, what's the first thing you think of when you hear AI? If you said gaming, cameras, and cooking, you're the winner of this intro! Sony is a company that has many different tentacles to it, and they've just announced an all-new division, Sony AI. The whole point of this division is to bring Sony's artificial intelligence ambitions under one roof, with the goal of bringing AI to gaming, cameras, and cooking. Or as Sony likes to put it, gastronomy. Ooh, fancy. Now, my own problem with calling things AI aside, because let's be honest, none of these things that are currently out there are artificially intelligent.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Instead, they're all things that we've programmed in smart ways, so they might be algorithm-based, but they're certainly not AI in making decisions on their own. It's kind of like how you can purchase hoverboards right now, but none of them actually, hover. But all that aside, there's actually a lot of cool things that Sony is going to be able to do with this division. Though it's unclear if it'll make its way to PS5 or if it'll have to be held off for a future console, AI in gaming makes all the sense. Whether you're in an open world RPG like Final Fantasy XIV, or you're punching your way through baddies in Uncharted, AI always helps bring more dynamic gameplay to life. The bad guys will make more calculated decisions based on what you're doing instead of going on a reactive pattern, which is how a lot of games used to be, and you could eventually figure them out and dance around them. And hopefully in open world games, NPCs will be much more lifelike instead of again falling on the same habitual pattern over and over again. In cameras, Sony already uses a lot of AI, which is where their animal and human eye autofocus system comes into play. In short, the camera is able to lock onto a human or an animal eye and continue to focus based on that. And in the future, chances are that the AI will be able to more dynamically focus on perhaps multiple eyes at once, as well as maybe bring better dynamic range to the video itself by recognizing where the camera is. So is the camera looking at oceans, or is it looking at on a bright sunny day? And it'll be able to adjust different settings based on that. So that knocks out the two pillars, the gaming aspect as well as the image sensor part of Sony's AI division. But it's really the third part that's both intriguing and a little bit confusing: cooking. What Sony hopes to do with AI in cooking is currently a mystery, but if it's anything like the demo that they showed nearly a year ago, which combined AI and robotics in a futuristic kitchen, then you can see why this idea in conceptual form is pretty cool.
So, keep cutting like this.
And though that looks pretty neat in video, it seems also completely unrealistic and something we would have thought of when Jetsons were still around. Back then we envisioned flying cars and kitchens that could cook for us. Instead what we got is Uber, Grubhub, and Blue Apron. And I'm not sure introducing robotics and AI into every household is going to be feasible in any shape or form, because the minute you have artificial intelligence or any kind of robotics, it's not cheap. Hell, our Roomba costs nearly $1,000 and it basically still just runs into things to figure out where it is in the house until it's cleaned the whole place. So really, is a kitchen with robotic arms and AI really the most practical thing? I don't think so. The only place that I could see something like this being utilized is in perhaps cruise ships and restaurants, and even then for almost more of a wow factor.
Recommendations. He's doing how we cook it.
But depending on how cheap the technology gets, I could see this being a form of automation, just in the same way that there's now more robotics in factories than there used to be before. Beyond that, other details remain light about the division itself, but it is a pretty cool one, and it's something that Sony already utilizes in their first-party games at PlayStation as well as their cameras. So now putting a whole division tasked with improving AI and injecting it into the different parts of Sony seems like a pretty great move to me. Speaking of great moves, the best one you could do right now is hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification button so you're notified when my next video goes live. And while you're at it, let me know in the comment section, what do you think of Sony getting into AI and robotics? Do you think it's something that they can conquer? Is that something you're even interested in? Or does that stuff start to get a little bit too Terminator-y and creepy for you? And for those of you on the Instabooks, I'd appreciate if you hit that heart or like button as well. Now I'm going to do my best Arnold voice because this is Terminator and we're speaking of AI.